and assessing institutional variables that affect success and study skills. He is the author of Winning at Math, which is the only math study skills text that has statistical research supporting its efficacy. He now assists colleges and universities in redesigning their courses to meet new curriculum requirements and has consulted with over 100 colleges and universities. We're very excited to have him here with us today. If you do have any questions during this webinar, please enter those into the Q&A box located on the panel at the top or the bottom of your screen, and we will address all of those at the end of the talk. So on that note, I'd like to hand it over to our presenter, Dr. Nolting.
Yeah, thank you, Taylor, for doing this. This is a good idea, having an innovative educator virtual summit, because a lot of us are concerned about what's going on in our classes, what's going on in our universities, what's going on in our colleges, and we're really concerned about the student. So the idea now is, what can we do to really improve the success of students? Because a lot of places are looking at a lot of more online learning, looking at ways to have students catch up, and basically how to help the students become more successful. So what we're going to talk about today is the study skills, online classroom and co-requisites. We're going to talk about some strategies that you can use when you get back. And what I want to give you is hope, because the idea here is that we have a lot of research on really what works. And to kind of tell you a little bit more about myself, several years ago, I started the National Math Summits, which were the pre-conferences to NAID and AMATIC. That's when I gathered in all the national experts, because I saw bits of hope everywhere, but nobody did it. In fact, we're going to do another one at NOS next year, basically. So as we go through this, make sure that you get some questions give questions to Taylor. I've already given permission to break in and say, look, we got a bunch of questions on here, which means mainly I didn't really discuss it that well, or it could have been that you just have questions. So this is going to be more interactive. We do have an hour, which is great. And what I want to do is get started now. What we're looking at too is a little bit of research here. What were your motivations for writing the 7th edition of Winning at Math? Whoa, that goes way back, way back. Let me give you the first hint. I never, ever planned on writing a book. I'm a math guy. And if you're like me, writing is not that great for me, even though I got colleagues who are good at everything. But anyway, what I did is I did my dissertation a long time ago on math study skills. I took students who failed elementary algebra 1 to 3 times. My committee thought I was nuts. They said, no, they're students on the general population. I said, well, no, that's not the ones having the trouble. I want to figure out how to help the ones that fail. And they said, okay, they'll do it. So I did the dissertation, University of South Florida, real PhD, control group, experimental group, random assignment, all that kind of stuff. And what happened is that they actually improved math success. And I said, great, I'm done. I did my dissertation, got my PhD, good deal, hooray. And then one of the committee members, who basically was the president of National Councils of Teachers of Mathematics in Florida, said, you're going to present. I go, I am? He says, yeah, on your materials. So I did. I went to a conference and presented it. I did a lot of statistical background, which wasn't the best thing I figured out. Later, somebody just yells at in the back of the room, what the heck did you do to get him to pass math? We believe it works. So I said, oh, you want to know about the study skills? So I started listing all the study skills and strategies I did. And then the next person says, where's your book? And my answer is, I don't have any stinking book. And they said, you got to write a book. So this is truth. And this is what you got to look at for your own future. Things just pop up. Then I said, okay, I got to write a book. I know what to do. I actually audio recorded my math study skills 1-hour course and turned it into a first draft. And somebody later on after the meeting says, how much you charge for consulting? And I said, I don't know. I never consulted. Well, come on, we'll figure something out. So when you start looking at this, what we're looking at is ways to become more effective in helping our students learn. most of us, well, no, really all of us are good instructors. What I found out in my research is that that's not everything. We're good instructors. Are the students good students? And a lot of times they're very good students and everything else, but math. So what we're looking at now is on the new research and the new areas of the Winning at Math text is the co-requisites. And that's what we're getting to later on. But when we talk about this, it's basically study skill strategies. You can do this. You can help these students become better learners. And I'm going to kind of, I get on my soapbox every once in a while. We're good at math, okay? So I had colleagues that I'm gonna confess, they told me they actually never studied math in college. They didn't do it. One didn't even go to class most of the time. And he became my department chair. And the reasons why. So the idea here is that what we want to do is make something that makes a student feel more better and research proven. Okay, so what do we do in this system? It's the overall study system. And I'm going to tell you up front, general study skills don't work. When I first started doing this research a long time ago, I met with my colleagues. They were doing all the freshman seminar classes, and I'm good at stats. I mean, real good. Well, not as good as I used to be, but anyway, real good. So I did the research on that. I looked at the people who took the life skills college success courses, and I looked at math and STEM, no significant difference. English, history, yeah. So what happens now, we have to have a new study system, a different study system for math and actually for STEM. And what I finally figured out is a new study system for anything that's really linear courses, linear learning. So in the study system, we look at classroom lectures, online lectures, textbooks, note-taking. Note-taking is different. I can guarantee you, reworking notes is different. Reading a textbook is really different, but most people don't read a textbook. So, that's another thing. So what happens now is the online homework is the thing I'm going to hit later on. I got too many students doing online homework that don't pass. And I figured out the reason why with my colleagues. Then the anxiety and, writing papers. Writing papers, what the heck is that? I actually find out that some students who write about how to solve problems learn it better. They're more auditory language learners, and they can use that mode instead of their abstract reasoning, which usually is not that well. So let's go take a look at a few more. But I'm really excited about this. How learning math is different and why it pays off. Oh, this is good. We already talked about some of these. Oh, I should have stopped, but I didn't. Okay, here it is. Here's the question. How much faster does math go in college and high school? Who has the answer? It's right up here. Yeah, it took me a while to figure that out. And I actually did the math, literally. That was fun. It's 4 to 5 times as fast. Do you tell your students that? I didn't tell them that. After I figured out, I told them that. And they go, no, I can just sit in class and don't make any noise and be nice and do extra credit and I'll pass in high school. I go, yeah, you can. And even if you fail the high school test, they'll let you take it again. Okay, you got that. Most deep learning outside a classroom. This is really neat too. Because what happens here is I asked them, where's most learning occur in high school? And I'm modeling right now what you could do in your class. So this is real stuff. They go, oh, in the classroom. Where does most learning occur outside the classroom? I mean, in college, outside the classroom. They don't get it. They think they can still go and sit, learn, and we'll be nice and pass them. Well, we're nice, but we ain't going to pass them. If not passing, then math requires sequential skills, anxiety and self-efficacy issues. Yeah, these are unique characteristics of discipline. And what happens here, and my favorite joke on this one is good. Who took history? I was good at history too. Here's the typical history question. When was the War of 1812? Yeah, you're right, 1812. So history is more recalling information. What happens with math, you got to recall it and then use it. Students must demonstrate and understand concepts, not just memorize problems. Hard to pull your grade up, this is just different. And this math as a foreign language thing is true. And thank goodness it is, because my foreign language in my PhD program was statistics. I was so happy. I knew Spanish a long time ago, lived in Spain for a while. Anyway, so this is something you can do too. We're trying to make the student understand that learning math is different and we can help them. But first, we got to get them to understand that, and we do that a good way. Oh, motivation. Oh, this is a good one. Students complain, and I actually have what I call the bitch and moan session. When I talk to my math class the first day, I ask them, how do you like math? No, I say, no cuss words. And I get a bunch of responses. I have to bite my tongue. I can't tell them it's good for them. So what happens is after they do that, I listen. They go, yeah, I don't like math. Okay. I don't like English, and I passed it. You know, that sort of thing. When do we ever use it? Sometimes, a lot of times, maybe for you, maybe never. I don't know. I mean, but it's good for you, but whatever. And then go, well, why do I need it for my major? I go, major? What major are you in now? And they start talking about it. Well, a lot of you don't like math. And I actually, every time we do it, about 24% of the people, including the developmental ed classes, said they like math. They're so good at it. So finally I go to myself now, not to them. I can't convince them to like math. In fact, the more I tried to convince them, when I tried this, the more they didn't like it. So now I'm going, hey, whatever you want to do. My next question is, how much money you want to make? How much money do you want to make? And they kind of look at me like, what? I said, are you in college to have fun, make money, or do both? And most people say, do both. I said, that's what I did at Florida State. Okay. Anyway, and they go, what do you mean? I said, well, tell me a figure. And they go, we want to get you around 80,000. I go, well, we made a chart. On the right-hand side of my screen, maybe left on yours, I charted it out. Higher math, more money. And they go, you mean more math means more money? I said, yeah. Oh, I want to make more math. I mean, do more math and make more money. Good. And then later on they go, well, I don't want to take college algebra and calculus sequence. I said, okay, you won't make that much money. Boy, is that cognitive dissonance. And they go, well, why want to? I said, well, then you got to get good at math. We know how to help you. We know how to help you. Okay, some of these things are pretty good, but the idea here is we just did a motivational thing. We'll show you another one in a minute, because I quit arguing with them. I just say, hey, make money. You want to do it? Not? And they go, yeah, okay. Next one. This is the big chart. And with this one, I want you to go through it. Every once in a while, when we taking a sip of water, I live right down past Tampa. Everything's blooming. And I was just talking to Taylor too. Everything's blooming up there in South Carolina. So my allergies are kicked in. So every once in a while, I'm gonna take a sip. Anyway, here we go. Here's the chart now. And I'm gonna go through this briefly because I get accused of doing too much. Right here. They walk into our math, wait a minute. They used to walk into our intermediate algebra or college algebra class. We predict success immediately. We knew that cognitive entry skills was 50%. Oh, it's placement. We knew affective was 25%. This is Bloom's research. We knew quality instruction was right around 25%. Excuse me. What happens now is this. That's changed. A lot of states, alias California, placement is against the law. In Florida, if you're alive, you're not taking developmental classes. You know? So what's happening is that we're putting them into co-recs, and the idea of now the affective characteristics, because I changed the chart, cognitive entry skills is not as much, and what's happened in the research, it's affective characteristics are the most. In fact, Zentech did that research a couple of years ago, 41% of the variance. 41% of the variance. Should I say it again? It's affective. Study skills, anxiety, that's PTSD, and most of us now are dropping the D part in motivation and mindsets. So the idea here is math study skills helps, and if you look on the left-hand side, there's some places I worked with, and it did help improve their success rates. Okay, that's going on. There's a, excuse me, there's a national push to accelerate math courses. Yeah, there is. It's been going on for a while. Reduce time spent in developmental, right. Now it's like no developmental in some states, that sort of thing. However, in Florida, we still have developmental. In California, they still have developmental. They just don't have to take it. So we're looking at ways to improve and get people through systems. And I did research on this for years before it became popular. I knew what prerequisites were needed. But when we start looking at this, we do have to accelerate that. The state says, we say, and I do believe in part of these acceleration programs for some students. And they usually work if we give them support, almost for most of them. But what we find out with the, how can I say this? Accelerated means 2-a-day practices in football. You got that? Basketball. Usually don't do 2 a day in baseball. But the idea is we got to make the student a better learner. We got to make them a better learner because the variance now switched to them as the major predictor of success, not our instruction. But we got to have the good instruction and the good support. And that's the hard thing I try to convince some administrators. When they start blaming you, math instructors, I'm going, hey, stop it. I got the research that says that it's probably not them. I mean, we can always improve. We can always be more successful. Yeah, but we got 25%, so we go up 2%. Who cares? You know, so that's not really even a significant difference. If students, instead of the 41% of the variance are down before that, hey, basically, we can really help them. The math self-efficacy, et cetera, the co-reqs. I'm gonna keep hitting that because when I was at the NOS conference last couple of weeks ago, that was a big title, and it still is. I'm getting more calls than co-reqs, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So what we really got to do is push the experience and most common factors in order to see math success. We got to make them better. Next one, what co-requisite courses designs are best? Depends on what state, depends on what law, and depends on what you're doing. I can tell you what's not going to work. And I've been to several of them. In fact, the last one I got called to California, they said, hey, we got some co-requisites. We need some help. And I said, yeah, I've been up there helping several colleges. One college, Santa Barbara Community College, beautiful campus. I'm not going to get into it. Yeah, I was there 4 days, and we helped redesign all the curriculum and really became successful. And I resisted the temptation of telling them what to do. And I really don't do that. But anyway, you know what co-reqs are now, basically, is you combine non-credit and credit courses, 3-hour courses with a 2-hour course. Now, here's what doesn't work. 3-hour course, you got it, 3. 2-hour or 1-hour course with a computer lab by itself. And you got a bunch of people running around. We found out that that will help the better students. In other words, the B's make A's. And the regular C students make D's and F's. So that's what we're getting to. 5 or 6 hour courses, I got people doing that. 3-hour course and 2-hour lab, that is the most common one, okay? And I'm not gonna get into much detail on these because you're doing them, but I can tell you one thing, if you have a co-requisite lab, you better give them a grade. I have some places in Texas I just visited, Sam Houston State, and they said, we just do pass-fail. I'm going, oh my goodness, no, give them a grade. You gotta get them to do work in there. We know from the research that grades means more work for the students and more learning. Hunter Boylan did that, 25 years ago. Here's what we're looking at as co-reqs, designs. You got to do assessments. And Hawks has the assessments. Not only Hawk has the assessments, they have to aggregate the assessment. So here's kind of like the rule of thumb. You bring them in the co-requisite lab, you're basically going to assess their skills. We got to know what they know and what they don't know. And then we're going to teach some of that and just in time. You also have to assess their math study skills, which we're going to get to in a minute. Okay. And that's very important. And you see, aggregate the data. Yeah, we need to do that. We need to figure out where are the low areas and work with that. I don't want to randomly teach stuff that I don't think they know. I want to know what they don't know. And, and the regular course, you kind of eliminate down the material you don't need, but the lab starts with developmental materials, just-in-time learning, and math study skills, okay? That's the key. You can adjust the curriculum in the elementary, let's pick college algebra, that's the most common one, even though some schools in California start with pre-calc. They're the ones who are panicking and calling me. Okay, and I said, you got to write the panic. Anyway, when you look at start, review developmental skills, intermediate algebra, that's part of the, basically the lab part. But what you're looking at is lab courses start with developmental materials, which you figured out, just-in-time learning, and studying math study skills. What's missing? Tutoring and on the computer. Well, that comes in later. And I would do a little bit now. But here's my point I made at NOS. Are you better instructors than the computer? I hope you say yes, because you are. And they can go do the computer work outside as a requirement. They can go to tutoring outside, but you will bring that in. But what we found out is everybody in college algebra said, we started tutoring them in college algebra. And I said, well, that's like somebody being in Spanish 3, doesn't know Spanish 2, and barely passed Spanish 1. They don't understand what we're even talking about. So that's the cue. So I'm gonna move on real quick. Lab coordination, lower levels. Oh, this is good. All the colleges, they said, what about the low level students? I said, you gotta really team up with your learning assistance centers and your math labs. You got to figure out who ain't going to pass. And I'm going to get to that. And I'm not going to say on camera what some of us were doing, but we got to incorporate that for the lowest level students. Here we go. What do you recommend as soon as possible in the classroom, the co-requisites to identify students that are struggling with study skills? Yes, this is it. They have to be better learners. You're going to hear me say that a few more times. They have to be better learners. So the math study skills evaluation, it's in your system. We can get that to you. It's really no cost. And if you can't get in the system, let me know, because I got it free too. So the idea is we give the study skills assessment, has no math on it, and guess what? No math on it, okay? So what happens now is that we want to give them feedback. Like I said earlier, motivation. Number 1, more math, more money, okay? Number 2, we got to figure out how to make them better learners and the reasons why it has been successful. So what we do is have students take the math study skills evaluation. They can take it online. Basically, it has 2 ways. They can put their email address in. They can put the instructor's email address in. You get a printout. Again, it's no math, it's study skills and strategies, okay? And basically, we can figure out exactly what to do. And what we're going to do now, I'm going to go down to this one here. This is basically a sample of what's going on. This is a sample on the right-hand side. Now what I'm going to do is switch over, and this should work out really well. Yep, here we go. Okay, Taylor, you're on.
You got it.
Yeah, Taylor knows we're doing this. And this is what I do in my class, okay? And this is what I do in my demos. And this is what I do in all my workshops. What happens is we're going to role play Taylor. He just took his first, what do you want to do? It intermediate algebra or college algebra? Which one do you want to pick?
Intermediate is fine.
Okay, intermediate. He just took the first test in my class. He failed. He got a 50. I'm bringing him into my office. And he kind of figures out why, you know? So usually in the past, I sit there and start talking about how to do problems. I figured that, nah, that's not the issue. So what we're going to do is start right now. And Taylor, you know, thank you for coming in. I'm glad you came in. We're going to talk about your test. You know you got it back and you didn't do too well, but I got to praise you for coming in because that's the first step to figure it out. Now, this time, usually they go, are we going to work math problems? And I'm going to say, Taylor, we're not going to work math problems. Remember that math study skills evaluation you took? You know, remember that one? And here it is right here. Taylor has one, by the way, okay? This is the one that had no math on it. You took it. I'm glad you did that. And Taylor, guess what? You failed this too. Oh my goodness. What do you think about failing this one, Taylor?
I wish I hadn't have, you know.
Yep. And I'm glad you did. This is great news. Let me pull this down again. You made a 60. Oh my goodness. You should have made a 40. I'd have been happier. Look at this. We're looking at, you know, your study effectiveness. Okay. We're looking at memory and learning. We're looking at classroom learning. Yeah, because I didn't see you take many notes in class. You know that? I didn't say anything. we're looking at anxiety. I did see you sweating and squirming a lot, okay? And it looks like you scored pretty low. Look at some of these questions that you answered, because each of these questions actually tell you, we talked about developing an overall math plan for success. Yeah, it looks like on here you didn't say you did it, okay? Let's do a couple more. Here you say you always get anxious. Yeah, I can believe that. You're sweating, and I thought you were going to leave the room, but I'm glad you stuck in there, okay? We go down a little further. Looks like you crammed the night before. I didn't see you use too much technology in the classroom. I permit you to take with my permission, I permit you to take pictures of the problems on the board so you can bring them to the tutors. When we look at this note-taking system, I kind of, that day I walked around a little bit. I didn't see many notes, that sort of thing. So what's happening here is it looks like we have a lot of things. And if I go down to the bottom here too, it looks like when you started taking the test, you didn't really analyze it at the end. We're going to do that. And you left before time was up. There's 10 minutes left in class and you took off. Well, I understand that. The anxiety gets you. I got that. So what's happening here is that it looks like we haven't taught you how to study math. Did anybody ever teach you how to study math? No. Yep, I can see that. Anybody ever teach you just plain study skills?
No.
Yeah, I have students that had plain study skills and it still didn't work. But look at this, man. We can help you. I think this is one of the major reasons why you're not successful in math. I think it's you haven't learned the math study skills, and it's not your fault. We didn't teach them to you. It's like going to practice and you're watching videos, but you don't get out there and play, and we can't coach you up. So what we want to do is coach you up on study skill strategies. Anybody can learn these study skill strategies, and they are predictors of success. So this is a real good thing here for you. And there's a variety of things here, and what you see here is every area refers to chapters in the Winning at Math book and pages. So if you're having that anxiety issue, like I know you do, we're going to talk a little bit about it today, in our session. But you can go and read it yourself and do it. This is basically self-paced, if you want, or in the co-requisite labs, we'll teach you this. You figured out it broke out of the role play, right? Okay. Well, Taylor, so how do you feel now about being successful in math? Because I saw that you're in this class for the second time.
A lot better after seeing all of this.
Yeah, this is it, because we can work with you on this. So, okay, the audience, you got 10 seconds. What did I really give Taylor beside the answers? What did I really give him? And start talking among yourselves. If you're by yourself, talk to yourself. We won't know. Okay, number one, I gave him hope. I gave him hope. I blame his math problems and his poor math on study skills, and we can fix those. We can make him a better learner. I didn't blame him on his intellectual ability. I didn't go, oh my goodness, you're in the second time. And we know from research it's very easy. The more times you take an algebra class, the less chance you have to pass it. If you heard me say this for years. And I've been to over 100 colleges and talked to them, did research, QEPs. This is true. Also, I'll tell you that anybody who makes a C predicts failure. That's the whole thing too. So the whole idea here is us helping him become more successful, giving him hope. Now he's going to change his behavior. We're going to teach him some strategies. He's going to try them. Before, if I just say, go do this, try harder. That's a cheerleader. We're not cheerleaders. We're coaches. We're coaching him up. Okay, let's get out of that. Okay, let's go back from current slide. And what we did, let me just go up one to kind of look at it. Yep, technology, let's go up to here, yep. Yeah, that's what we just did. So you're in sync now. This is what we talked about. Next one, let's see. Has the integration of technology in courses impacted study habits of modern students? Yeah, it's different. Computer-based learning and Hawks has a good system. Note taking has changed. We're going to get into that in a few minutes. Preparing for quizzes has changed. Computer-based testing, really diagnostic. And remember that aggregate stuff? I would do that with every class. I don't care if it's a co-rec or not. Co-recs, and I'm going to keep mentioning this as people keep talking to me about it. E-books, communication with instructors. Oh, let me back off on that one. Communication with instructors. Yeah, I might as well say this. When students don't want to come see us, unless they're making A's and B's. So how do we get the ones that are making the C's and D's to come see us? We kind of make them in groups. That's another one. Also, the joke is if you're a party and you tell the people that you are a math instructor at a college, what happens? Two things happens to me. One, I now am a priest. And if you're a woman, now you're a nun, and they confess all their math sins. I was out at a bowling alley one time, actually with a group of math instructors from a MATIC conference. And the people next to us heard we're math instructors. For the next hour, while we're bowling, they're confessing math sins to us. Finally, we tell them, you're blessed, you've been forgiven, move on. Next one, they go to the bathroom. They don't want to talk to you. But anyway, the technology is great because there's different ways we can help students. For example, this webinar, we can help you. We can make you more successful. And the communication is good. I have some students that only email. That's fine. I don't care. They got to talk to me. Here we go. What are some resources here? And these are resources, but I'm really telling you how we teach them. It's 10 steps of doing your online math homework. Oh my goodness, my goodness. Here's the trick with online homework. And when I go do this consulting, I work a lot with online homework. I go actually visit the labs. When I was at Sam Houston State the recent day, I try to sneak into their math lab. I got in. The problem is the director was right behind me. And I went to the front desk and said, hey, I just want to look around. I'm visiting here. And the director said, looked at me and he goes, you're Paul Nolting. I go, yeah. Okay, good. Come on in. I said, oh my goodness. Okay. I thought I could come in and look and see what's going on because the next day I was consulting with him. Yeah, no, don't worry about it. We know who you are. Come on in. So I walk around. The question is, online homework is great. Here's the question you got to ask your students. After you finish clicking and get them all right, what do you take home with you? Now think about that. What do they take home with you? 90% of them take nothing. Anything. Incorrect English. Got that? I go, well, what do you review for the test? Nothing. I got all the homework right. What did you make? I'm failing. Oh, maybe we should figure out how you can review materials and get materials from the online online computer system. So what I do is I walk around and I look at it and I figure out how many times they click. When they click 3 times, I sit down. This is when I consult. And I don't say anything mean. I go, tell me what you're doing. And then I go, by the way, I have a note-taking system. We'll get to that in a minute. So the idea is this online homework thing, we have great opportunities. Taking online notes, great opportunities. Computer-based test taking, great opportunities. Reading online text, oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. We got to show them how. But you know that. I was down at Miami-Dade and they were complaining, they're not reading the textbook. And I said, well, how often do you use the textbook in class? Oh, we don't need to use the textbook. I go, yeah, I don't need to use it either. In fact, I don't even have to work out the problems. They're all memorized. I've been doing this for 5, 10 years. Said, so if you don't use the textbook, what do you think the students think about the textbook? What do you think the students think about the online learning? Worthless. You got to fake it and use it. Okay, enough of that one. Anxiety. Oh, yes. And I already mentioned this. I'm getting more calls about instructors having anxiety. The last call from California, like I said, was instructors are freaking out. Can you come help the instructors? And that's what I told you. That was the one with the pre-calc people. So the idea is the anxiety is going up, especially like co-rec courses. First, they think it's a neat idea. I can skip all these dental appointments. And that's what some of them think are. They're dental appointments going to math class. And I'll just go to one. And they get in there and go, oh my goodness, what the heck's going on here? You're making me learn 2 or 3 classes? Well, we're going to help you out. So what's happening, the anxiety basically increases. And I'm seeing that across. In fact, there's an article, and I'll actually send it to Taylor if you want it. It's an article written several years that says that math anxiety is killing STEM programs around the world, not in the United States, around the world. So we gotta deal with the anxiety. You may not think it's anxiety. You may not believe it's anxiety. I can guarantee you. I used to give a test anxiety inventory a lot. Don't do it anymore. I just ask the students, get anxiety? Yeah, okay, that's it. You know, so what does it really do? It kills working memory. You know, you go from, you're in short-term memory, you're in working memory, and basically you go to long-term memory, and you go over here to abstract reasoning. During homework, you're in short-term and a little bit of working memory. You got that? However, to really remember it, and I'm kind of going backwards now, you got to go to more working memory, which is practice, practice, practice. That's practice in the football field, basketball court, et cetera, to get into long-term memory and abstract reasoning. They don't do it, so they try to recall it. Now, when we get into this too with anxiety, it kills working memory. That's why people walk in there and just freak out. You'll see them walk in there in 5 minutes, they'll look at it. I don't know what to do. Okay? Blackout on tests, skipping test questions, and running out of the room early. That's another one. Math anxiety, relaxation techniques. Wow, we can do those. You can do the tensing relaxation techniques in the classroom. You can actually right now put your feet flat on the floor, put your hands underneath your chair, and I'm doing it right now. And tense up, tense up, tense up, tense up, and relax. Tense up, tense up, tense up, relax. One more time. Tense up, and relax. That's another one. That's a good one. I practice that. Deep breathing. We all heard that, right? Deep breathing. Inhale through your nose. Hold up for 3. Exhale. But don't do this. Don't hyperventilate. And I kind of do that, and they all kind of laugh. And I go, hey, I don't want you to do it. And then, of course, the visualization one is that you're off in happy land somewhere. Just don't ask them where they went and what they're doing. Like it's kind of X-rated every once in a while and weird. Practice the visualization. We've done that. And palming technique is neat. If you really want to make sure nobody talks to you during class, put your hands up like this. You see me? And put it on your desk. Nobody's going to talk to me, right? They're going to think I party too much, et cetera, et cetera. That's good. And they say, well, what are you doing? I'm just relaxing myself to do as best I can on the test. I do that because a lot of my students say they have more anxiety in the classroom hearing people talk. You got that? Hearing people talk. So I tell them, you do that, they ain't going to talk to you. Then the self-talk, what do you say to yourself? I'm going to do well. I can handle this. You know, that sort of thing. Don't say you're going to make an A. Now, if students are saying they're making A's, I don't care what they say. I don't care what they do. Just keep doing the same thing. But I had some students say, I'm making an A. Real quick, 20 questions, real quick. Already missed 3, real quick. I ain't making an A, real quick. I'm quit. They either mentally quit. And I have someone just walk out of the room. Didn't make it. So when you talk about the anxiety in the classroom and you talk about it, it's real for them. May not be real for you, but if I said, I want you to write down everything I just said for the last 20 minutes, every time you have a misspelled word, incorrect sentence, not using prepositions correctly, you owe me $50. That would get me. Okay, that would get me. So you do it, you have them practice in class several times. 2 reasons. 1, we got to get them good at it. 2, I've learned with the learning curve, learning goes up. After a while, what happens to it? Goes down. So the idea here is what we do is that I may break halfway through the class and go, okay, we're going to do a visualization technique, or we're going to do a tense and relaxing technique. And I do it several times. I also tell everybody that if somebody comes in during test time and their hands are over their eyes, don't think that they got a hangover. They're probably preparing for the test. Or if they're doing some deep breathing and tense and relaxing, that's fine. So I give them permission to do that. We have to do that, and we have to demonstrate it, even though it looks funny. Even though it looks funny. Anxiety in the classroom, talk to them, admit it, that sort of thing. Okay? Here we go. Help students better study habits. What does it really do? I'm going to go through this because I'm going to get to some more strategies. And we got about 15 minutes left. Is that about right? Okay. Yeah. Math study skills, strategies, daily timesheet. Procrastination. When is the best time to study math? Right after math. That's what I tell them, right after math. Free-column note-taking system. I'm going to look at a couple of these behavioral activities checklists. We got all this. We got things they can do almost by themselves. And some of the students have actually just done it by themselves and come back and made better grades. Those are mainly women decide to do that. So what happens is this is what we call preference inventory, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. We got to know, because I go through the materials. If you're visual, I'll teach you how to learn math 10 ways visually, auditory 10 ways auditorily. And this Emporium note-taking system, look at this. Like I said earlier, examples in the middle, keywords and rules on the left, explanations on the right. I actually put this on the board and mock it up. About 3 weeks in the class, and I explained to them, most of you just have the examples. What are the key words? Little rules. What are the explanations? This is metacognitive learning now. What's going on? And I actually have them tell me. And sometimes I have somebody on the board writing it down, like embedded tutor or something. And then I stop doing basically the keywords, stop doing the explanations, I go back. But it's pretty neat. If you cover up examples and explanations and look at all the key rules, solve linear equation, distributive property. I'll go, what is distributive property? What is adding like terms? You can test themselves, and that works pretty good too. Same way with the computer base. We already talked about this one. You know, you click twice, we got a problem. And when we start looking at technologies in computer-based learning, this is a note-taking system. Talk to them about using Evernotes. Talk about recording, voice recorder, smart pens, video ones. Sonoset is unreal. Sonoset will record everything, take pictures, and integrate to their own computer. Now, some people have issues about doing this. Some people don't have issues about doing this. But the whole thing about note-taking now is the technology. I don't care if they take me. And one reason why is I don't really care. You know, I'm not going to say anything weird. Other reason why, I can't stop it. If I have somebody who has their tape recorder out on the desk, hooked to Sonoset, they're going to get everything I say. It ain't going to matter. I won't even know. So talk to students about this, how to use it effectively and how to use it in note-taking. That is a real good. Pictures, go to tutors, come see me. When students come to see me, if they can tell me where they got stuck, we're great. Then we work on study skills, okay? Textbook reading assignments, that works well. You got to do that. My Math Success Plan. This is pretty neat too, because we can look at the success plan. In other words, if they're repeaters, we should have a plan with them. Hooking up with the disability coordinator, hooking up with veterans, hooking up with the lab, hooking up with basically instructors and stuff, and make a plan. Make a plan. This would say, I took the math study skills evaluation. Great. So what are you going to do? You know, what are your goals? What are you going to do with study skills? Use note-taking system. Color code notes. You see what I'm doing here. Make a plan. If they get a better grade, good. If they don't, let's go back to the plan. And that's neat. Recommend, yeah. How do you recommend incorporate Winner Man in the classroom? I have people just use it right in the classroom. You front load it, you flip it. Now, co-requisites. Here we're back to co-requisites again. In the co-requisite lab, you're teaching math study skills, period. I mean, that's the only place. For them to sit there and, like I said earlier, and just do computers and do basically tutoring, they can do that outside. You're going to teach that in the classroom, the note-taking. You're going to tell the instructors what's going on, and you may be doing both, or it could be separate. That's a whole different model, and they can reinforce it. You can say, I'm doing note-taking today. I want you to reinforce it in the classroom, and they will. That sort of thing. When you start looking at in the classroom, you just do mini lectures. You can flip it. I always have quizzes and tests. And what's good here is, and this is, I got to say, Abby did a good job with this one. We have multiple choice questions on math study skills in the learning management system. Already there. You don't have to make them up. I mean, you know, which statement correctly describes the difference between high school and college? Oh, I think we talked about that. Yeah, that sort of thing. They have it in there, graded. This is perfect. Mini lectures, talk about co-requisites. It's a grade. This is great, okay? Other ones. Why is it important to review class notes? We talked about that. Hey, this is really good. What steps should you take to receive when you receive the math test? We're going to get to that. You got to analyze it, and you got to help them. It's like a blood test. We want to do something with it. Okay? Next one. Already have a study skills course. Why should it be beneficial in the math program? I kind of paraphrased that one. Let me back that one up. I already said it. General study skills courses don't work. And if you put it in your math program, you're getting everybody. You're getting everybody, man. That's what we want to do, get everybody to become more successful. I found out that teaching study skills in the math class generalized to other classes. Okay? There we go. Why? The administration. Yeah, we don't want to do it. Yeah, well, that's not true. I have some administrations, after I talk to them, they go, we did. In one college, can't mention the name because this is being taped. I brought the math department in for luncheon. We talked about it. The president of the college said, we can afford to lose about 600 math students. Of course, the math department's cringing. I go, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess you could. And then they're looking at me like, you're a traitor. I said, and I go, did you ever figure out how many other courses they're not going to take? He goes, what do you mean? I said, look, basically fail math once, fail math twice. They don't come back. You said 600, $2.5 million in FTEs you just lost. He goes, I never thought of that. I said, yeah, if they don't finish math, they drop out. They're not taking history, not taking sociology. And he looked at the math department, and this is a true story. How much money do you need right now? They said, 50,000. He said, come up to the office tomorrow, I'll transfer the funds to you. This is how powerful this is, because what we're looking at, the top 10 courses are the ones that you failed. 5 of them are math. And it goes through all these pass rate of co-requisites. What is the pass rate of your co-requisites? I'm hearing 35 to 45%. I'm hearing lower, but I can't repeat it. And that's going to have a problem. Students must be taught to learn math faster than co-requisites. So of course, I said this like 100 times, so you get it until the other people get it. General study skills don't work. Math study skills, oh wow. Improve success in STEM programs. So your colleagues are your STEM people, okay? More math means more money for students and more money for colleges. Some of the people really like that. Moving on. And I know I'm going fast, but in a minute, we're going to take a break and do that. Now, different strategies, 10 steps. Oh, I'm going to put that back. So do you teach your students how to take a math test? Most people don't. Do you know how to take a math test? Yeah, I guess you do. You're teaching math. Or if not teaching math, you're in study skills, strategies, and techniques. And by the way, I teach math study skills in a freshman seminar class. And we have the research that said it improved the math grades, not just the study skills grades, because in that class, the only way you fail is you just don't show up, pretty much. But I have other rigors too. So the idea is, what do you do when you take a math test? And the first one, memory data dump. People said, what the heck's that? I said, ever made a cheat sheet up? And people don't like me saying that, but when I said memory data dump for several years, the students didn't get it. When I said cheat sheet, they got it. They said, oh yeah. I said, okay, we're gonna make up a cheat sheet in class. And they're looking at me like I'm crazy. I told my department chair that before I said it though. I said, let's do it. In fact, let's do a little group. We got 5 minutes. We're gonna figure out who's gonna make up the best cheat sheet. Oh my goodness. Everybody woke up, everybody started doing it. And then at the end I said, okay, you can't use it in class, but what did you figure out? They said, well, we wrote down the stuff we didn't know. I said, can you use this to review for the test? Oh yeah. And a couple of them later on said, well, I wrote it all down, then I understood it. I probably wouldn't even use it on the test. So as soon as they get the test, I tell them, write everything down. Dump it, dump it, dump it, dump it. Put it all down. You don't put your name on the test. You don't preview the test. You do it. Secondly, you put your name on it and preview it. But here's the preview technique. Is what you basically could do, go through and mark the ones you can do now. I have students that mark that have 20 questions. They go straight in a row. By question 10, they already missed 4 and they're done. So I said, I'm going to psych them out. What we're going to do is have you mark all the ones you can do. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, 12, 14. They do 5 or 6 in a row. They get them right. They're feeling great. Okay? Tell them it's not a secret. And of course, the idea is you skip the questions, you go back down and you do a second memory data dump, skip the questions, review skip questions, guess. Oh, this is a joke. We got a few more minutes. I'll do this joke. What is the problem?
We do have 10 minutes left, just to give you that.
Oh, okay. That means I can slow down this cadence a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Here we go. What is the probability of guessing the math question correct if it's not multiple choice? Who has the answer? It's what? 1 over what? What's that sign? Infinity. And it's not 0, it's 1 over infinity. So what happens here is that I tell students, look, just leave it, if you're going to leave it blank and there's 20 questions, just put -5 next to it. It'll save me some time. And they get kind of angry. What do you mean? I said, well, if you're leaving it blank, save me some time. You're missing the points. They go, well, what can we do? I said, why don't you just write something down? And they go, yeah, but I know what to write down. I said, write down anything. Anything. Well, I can't think of anything. I don't care. Start writing down something. And I tell them, if they start writing down something, sometimes that kinesthetic memory, then I go, if it's that bad, recopy the problem. Just recopy the problem and do it. I've had students who recopy the problem, have more kinesthetic memory, that sort of thing. Okay, I turned that off. And maybe I didn't. Hang on.
Hello, we are Academic Success Press. This is Paul Nolting.
Yep.
We write books on improving math success and general retention issues. We also consult on mathematics.
Oh, got it. Good. Sorry about that. I forgot to turn that one off. This is my office. So they write down anything and it works out. And it works out because it triggers them. Okay. Now, guessing remaining questions, we talked about that. Review all the tests. We talked about that. Using all the test time, we talked about that. Let me just go back to this one. Use all the test time. How can you get them to use all the test time? And when I ask students, why do you leave early? And you should be doing this. What are the reasons for you leave early? Now, think about it. If you got a few people there, talk to yourself or talk to them. Why do students leave early? Number one reason, which I was not aware of, is I am not going to be the last person or the second or third last person in the classroom, because that means I am what? Not smart. I'm not going to use the words they said, not smart. The other one is the anxiety got so high, I couldn't stay there anymore. One person described it as, I feel like I'm in a burning house, the walls are falling down, I'm going to run out. So when we get back to anxiety, remember anxiety kills working memory. Anxiety makes them run, goes into fight, flight, or freeze. Some of this freeze. So if you watch them and they're not doing anything, don't panic. They're probably in a frozen state. And people ask me, what do you do if you see them around? Well, one thing I never do anymore is I don't tell them, I'll go up there and say, relax. That's a no-no. I did that for a while because I thought I was helping them. They said, no, you freak me out. So I just smile, that sort of thing. So the idea here is basically let them know. Now, how do you let them know? I say last semester, I look at the grades, and of the 5 people who left early, got pretty good grades, but 2 of them failed. They go, you kidding me? I said, no, 2 of them failed. Of the last 5 people who left, I had a couple failures, and I had a couple of people make A's and B's too. So the idea is that if you stay and work harder, and that's what we know about math, you can improve your grades. You can improve your test scores. Okay, so now we get into using all the test time. And they have to have a good reason for that in that way. So let's go down to this one here. Then you're gonna get your test back. This is very, very powerful, very. I have them do this. We do a test analysis right in the classroom. Points from misread direction errors, careless errors, concept errors, application errors. Test errors, study errors. How many you misread direction? The common one in the low-level math, your x plus 2 times x plus 3, and they try to solve for x. You've seen that one. Misread direction errors, careless errors, drop in signs, concept errors. I had no clue what's going on. Application errors. Basically, with those, it's the word problems, which you don't get that much anymore, and graphing. If I know that, I can work with them. Test procedure errors. Oh my goodness, didn't use the 10 steps for test taking. Got stuck in a problem. Had an ego issue. I have students that stuck in a problem, spend 5 or 10 minutes on it. And I said, even if you got it right, that's not good test taking. You know, study errors, cram, didn't do the right thing, didn't review your notes, okay. I'm repeating, right, mainly for your online homework. So the idea is this, you know, we sometimes get criticized for not helping students pass math, even though we know there's a lot more variables. When I work with students in my Title III program, I was actually in charge of some of the counseling and advisement, and I had my people doing that, ask them, what's going on with math? What's going on here? And they're going, we just want to give up. We don't want to try anymore. We want to leave. I said, we got to teach them how to become better learners, teach them their hope, and teach them to be more successful. Other things we got to look at too is that we can become math heroes. And I mean heroes. I mean the fact, and you've all had these stories where you're the one that helped them pass the course. The most prevalent ones I usually got is I helped them pass the courses, and they got into nursing and basically changed their whole lives. Passed the courses and got into engineering. Had a student that started in actually pre-algebra, got him all the way through engineering. I mean, that was amazing. But the idea here with all our information, we're looking at how to help them, how to do this. Now we're going to open it up for questions, and I can do a summary in a minute. This is more information you can look at later, which is how we did this, how I changed it for co-requisite and mindfulness and things like that. And also what we're doing, it's in the plan. With Danny, I'm doing a video teacher's manual. Okay, it's in a plan now. It's been put off a little bit because we're doing these, but I'm going to do a manual where you're going to hear me talk about how to use the manual and things. So I'm just going to go up to here, additional questions. I know we got about 3 or 4 minutes. Sorry to speed through this, but the idea is that we got it done. And I think the picture here is take bits and pieces of the information we said and how can you use it? I mean, you can use this material. It will make you students better learners. We just got to get over the idea that our job is not teaching math study skills. Well, our job is to help the students become more successful. And now with this different type of crunch, and now with the online courses, and I know you're getting a lot of online courses now, that's even more important to make them better learners. And that's what I'm getting calls now on. How can we make these better learners? Because our whole college math department had to go online. And that's a future discussion. So I'm going to open it up for questions, or Taylor and I can have a chat for a few minutes.
Yep. And
I can always talk, you know, what I'd rather hear you.
I will interject really quickly, Dr. Nolting. There's a few questions that we got that I just want to address.
Sure.
We got a few questions about asking if the PowerPoint slides are going to be available. So just for everyone out there, we are recording this session first and foremost, and we're going to post a link to the session as well. We'll also include those PowerPoint slides with that in that same link. So that way everyone will have access to them. Mm-hmm. And then the other question that we got a few times was how can folks access the Winning at Math resources? So Dr. Nolting, feel free to hop in here as well, but there's 2 ways, like you mentioned before. Number 1, through Hawks. For anyone who is using Hawks, feel free to contact your representative, your training and support representative, or the educational courseware representative. They can help you get set up with that information. And maybe if you wanted just to talk about how they can access that.
Well, what I can do, and if you're looking right up here, is the WW Academic Success COM one. Basically, that is the free math study skills evaluation. Now, I'll tell you what's going on. I do my own publishing, but Hawks is the person who sells almost all my books. So the idea is you want to go through them, but we can also get through that. Next qualifier. I've had students who have taken my PowerPoints without my permission, but we're doing it. And I have more than this. If you ever start teaching this, we can give you more. And they've actually run them through their classroom. In a nomadic conference about 10 years ago, several people came up and said, "Oh, we use your stuff and it didn't work." I said, "Well, what did you do?" "Well, we showed them all the PowerPoints." I said, "Okay, and what did you do?" "Oh, we just told them to do this." I said, "Oh, so it's like you teaching a math course lesson, showing them how to do the problems, but not allowing them to do any homework to get into long-term memory and abstract reasoning to recall it for a test." And they looked at me like, "Oh my goodness." Said, "In fact, I'm going to tell you what you really did is, and I don't mind you doing a few of these, what you really did is gave them hope, and the hope fell apart. You may have made it worse." Because the idea here is that when you go to a doctor, this is easier to explain. Septin is what I get. Usually when I have upper respiratory infection, they give me 5 pills. I take 2. Nah, not going to do well. But the idea here, though, is that what we did is showed you a whole program. And with our students, unless they take the math study skills evaluation or go through everything, I don't know what they need. I have some students that only have anxiety. And I'll teach them anxiety reduction techniques, teach them a test-taking procedure, and they'll go from basically D's to B's with that. Now, I have other students, I do that too. I have D's, teach them this, have them repeat the test, and they go from a D to an F, which really means they didn't know it to begin with. Doesn't matter how much we reduce their anxiety, make you calm, that's great. If you don't have the information to recall, in other words, the working memory is not blocking the information, it doesn't matter what. So the whole idea is, get with us, we'll help you as much as possible. But it's like going to the doctor. We need the full spectrum of help for these students to become more successful. But I'll be glad to send you that information. And you can take it too. You can take the Math Study Skills Evaluation. You just put your email address in twice. And one more thing, because I know we're getting ready to shut down. Highest levels of anxiety or lowest level of math, the most serious anxieties have been in my calculus classes. I mean, to the point of throwing up before getting into the room, to the point I can't even go into the room, that sort of thing. So it's just not developmental. So the idea here is we can help students with a variety of ways, but we got to figure it out. But again, I got to thank Hawks for doing this. And basically, for us and Taylor doing this area, I hope now you can see some hope too. And that's what I find out with a lot of people. There are ways to make things better. And we can always, this is going to be my summary, we can always become better math instructors. But our part of becoming better math instructors is teaching students to become better learners, because the variance indicates that that's how we do it. And you become math heroes. I mean, real heroes. You can save your colleges, basically, because we can get them to get more math courses passed. So anyway, other questions? I know kind of went off on a little sermon at the end, but that it's the truth. We can do this. We have the research. This is not anything that we made up. I got 20 years of research saying it works. My biggest thrill was when people were citing me and doing research and saying that, yep, Nolting, you're right. And Hawks is a believer too.
You got it. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Nolting. If there are any additional questions, feel free to type them in the Q&A box. I did have one other come through. One extra instructor asked, not as a whole department, but just as an instructor, is there anything available for us to improve our math teaching? Maybe you can just answer that one really quickly. I know we're—
yeah. if you want to get into this, what you do is and this is not, well, it's more, this is what we did in colleges. Yeah, it's making them better learners and helping them become understanding of anxiety. That's two things. Other colleges, what they've done is made the text a supplemental text, because it's hard to get sometimes the whole college to adopt it, even though we have those colleges now. A lot of people did that, put them in the bookstore, and I'm being honest, have them take the math study skills evaluation. As long as it's supplemental text, they can go and get the book basically with financial aid. But for you is kind of integrating some of the things we talked about into the classroom as an individual instructor, and then work on your department chairs. Or I work with a lot of colleges that say, I'm going to run a pilot. And a lot of times your math instructors and your department chairs and dean don't mind you running a pilot. That's what I did with mine. I ran a pilot. But not everybody did it. Everybody did it afterwards, though, because we really jumped success rate up from about 58 to about 72% pass rate in lower level math classes, teaching the study skills, I should say. Anyway, yeah, and if that one person wants to email you, send it to me, and I'll do some more stuff, because I know we're out of time. And thank you, everybody, for staying over a little bit.
Wonderful.
Be safe, be calm, work on your garage, or if you live in apartments, maybe your closets, that sort of thing. And thank you.
Thanks so much, Dr. Nolting. And thank you all for everyone that attended today. If you have any further questions, Dr. Nolting's information is there. You can also email us directly with any questions. That email address is marketing@hawkslearning.com. Again, we will be emailing you a link to all of the sessions at the conclusion of this virtual summit. That will include the recording as well. Again, thank you all and have a great day.
Thank you too.